Hi everybody, I'm Kaye Spivey. Today I wanted to do the work in progress writing tag. So I watched a couple other people do this tag and I've been working really hard on editing and revising my novel, so I thought it sounded like fun and I wanted to give it a go. Question number 1, what is the working title for your novel? And the working title of my novel is Circuit. I'm not sure if that's going to be the title of the first book or the title of the collection. I'm planning on a 5-book series, but right now I'm just calling it Circuit and working with that. Question number 2 is, where did the idea for the book come from? I'm gonna go ahead and just let you in on where the actual idea sparked from and let you all know that I'm a huge nerd and often ideas will come to me this way, so this is kind of not out of the ordinary, but just know that everything has changed and evolved to such a great degree since then, since that initial spark, that I feel comfortable telling you about the really nerdy way it started. So just keep in mind, it has pretty much nothing to do with the novel now, but the idea came because I was obsessed with the J-pop group Arashi. I'll insert a little picture of them or something like that, but I was obsessed. But the thing about Arashi is that all of them are really quite gifted actors, and so as I was very obsessed with them, I started thinking, what could I potentially write a story that would have a role in it for each of them that would be the ideal acting role for them. As I sort of started to mull that around, it was kind of fan fiction-y for just a little bit, and I was sort of developing that, and eventually I sort of came to a conclusion that they couldn't be the main characters. I needed to have someone else. And I started to develop a main character, and slowly a plot started to form, and they became more and more of the background characters, just sort of not necessarily with their personalities, but I still have 5 characters in the story who are roughly based on them. Just so roughly though, like just tangentially. It sort of grew from there, like what would they be really good at doing? What kind of characters am I interested in? And as I sort of let those characters come to life, the magicians were formed. I probably shouldn't admit a lot of things come to me that way, where some kind of just nerdy off-the-wall idea will like fester in my brain for a while, and eventually this really interesting plot, a really beautiful poem will emerge from that, but the initial starting point is a bit ridiculous. Long answer short, Arashi's inspired my novel. Thanks, Arashi! Actually, I'm even bigger nerd than that. In the second book, the concept and the characters came from watching, the characters for some of the villains actually came from watching my favorite band perform. Larkenshell did a concert, and it just like, this is the second book. Question number 3 is, what genre does your book fall under? And Circuit falls under fantasy. It takes place in a world that is not ours at all, in which magic does exist. But it's sort of fantasy along the lines that Full Metal Alchemist is, where there is some technology. The world is sort of going through its industrial revolution. Like there is a version of trains, there is a version of radio, but there isn't like smartphones or anything like that. Like they're transitioning into more of a technologically advanced age as they're sort of beginning to stop fearing things that they once did and embrace more of the technology that is available to them, which a lot of it has to do with magic. Question number 4, which actors would you choose to play your characters in a movie adaptation? I only have a couple in mind. I actually haven't been able to cast Rowan. I have sort of an image of her in my mind, but I haven't seen someone act who I've just been like, that's them. Obviously, like I said before, Arashi were the characters that I had in mind for the magicians, although I don't think that they would still all be ideal for all of those roles. But there's one, Kezi. I would still love to be played by Ninomiya Kazunari. I think he would be absolutely stunning in that role. And then the governor is another one that I know I've cast, and I would love for her to be played by Shibasaki Ko, who you would know from Battle Royale, although she's much older now. What else has she been in recently? I've been obsessed with Japanese movies, especially when I was writing this, and so a lot of the characters are cast with Japanese actors, but I think they're just the right actors for the role. What is a one-sentence synopsis of your book? I struggled with this a lot, but I've written one, so prepare yourself for my teaser. With the queen dead and the crown changing hands to possible disaster, will Rowan choose to leave her normal life to help the magicians who she barely knows? I don't know that that tells you very much. I'll keep working on it. I have more of a synopsis up on my website right now, and maybe as I get through the beta reading stage, I will have a better sentence for everyone. Number 6, will your book be traditionally published or self-published? I'm gonna try for the traditional publishing route first. I would like to have an agent. I would like to kind of have that system backing me up with this. And I think that the book is consumable. I think although it doesn't necessarily fall under YA, it doesn't necessarily fall under like high fantasy, I think it still has a market out there, so I'm going to try for that route for a while. However, I do think that the self-publishing route can be done, has been done very well, is a good option, that you just have to approach it with a completely different mindset, and I think I'm willing to do that. I just want to give my book the best chance in the traditionally published market, partly to just have more hands on deck, because there are parts that I am not so good at. I know I'm not so good at marketing, I'm not so good at, there's just a lot of elements, and I would love to have someone on my side with that, so that's my plan. Question number 7. How long did it take to write the first draft? It took approximately from like conception to finishing writing it about 6 months, and the last 2 months were NaNoWriMo and the month following that, and I finished it during that time. I wrote the bulk of it during NaNoWriMo and then the month afterwards. But that was the first draft, and that was 5 years ago. I think I might be on draft 10 now, and this is the draft. This is the solid draft. This is the one where as I'm revising back through, things feel right. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's ready to just be published right now on the spot. I feel like I want some feedback at the moment. I'm going to be looking for beta readers, but this is the draft, I'm telling you. Question number 8. Who or what inspired you to write this book? And I think I've already given you that answer. It was Arashi. It was Arashi. I don't have a better answer. I'm sorry. This is Question number 9, the final question in this tag. What are other things that might pique readers' interest about your book? So my main character, Rowan, is asexual, which is going to be brought up. There's a lot of LGBT plus inclusion in the story, as well as Rowan has a minor but still significant deformity, so I'm trying to have more and more inclusion in the stories. Most of my characters, at least in my head, are Asian or Japanese. We're going to have a lot more people of color. Different ethnicities are going to be more discussed in books moving forward. The content is very diverse. One, you can look forward to some LGBTQ+ community representation, and especially pushing the asexuality for Rowan. She's not going to have a love interest, and it is going to be something that is discussed in the first book, but in the rest of the series as well. But other characters are going to have romances, other characters are going to have relationships. There's going to be lots of love, there's going to be a lot of focus on really strong friendships, and friendships between girls, friendships between girls and guys, friendships between guys, friendships between people of similar and different sexualities and backgrounds. So that's going to be a lot to look forward to. There's also magic, there's political intrigue, there's adventure. One of the big points of the story that felt very strongly, I wanted this character to be a Bilbo. I wanted her to not be a chosen one in any way, to just sort of have things drop on her and choose to keep going with it and make the best choices she could along the way, and not to have this sort of overwhelming have to, that everything she does is Rowan's choice to do. That Rowan could back out of this at any time. There are no stakes for her, except that there are stakes for the world, and there are stakes for the people around her. And so while she could back out and live her life the way that she always has, and to kind of close her ears and pretend that everything's okay, she's going to choose to try and make a difference. And I think that's really, really important, especially nowadays, to have a character who could stay back and say no, that they're not going to be part of it, and still choose to do the right thing and to do as much as she can. So yeah, that's the work in progress tag. Hope you enjoyed. I am going to be looking for beta readers coming up very soon. If you're interested, I'm going to put a link down below to where you can read a complete synopsis on my website and also the first 3 pages. And if you are interested, let me know. I would love to have more beta readers. And yeah, I know this tag is old, so I'm not going to tag anybody because I'm sure everyone who wants to has already done it, but I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!